blessings. No, they keep coming to me. I can't stop God's blessings. No, I just can't stop. I just can't stop. No, just can't stop. Just can't stop. No, 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 I can't stop God's blessings. No, 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 they keep coming to me. I can't stop God's blessings.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Woman to Woman podcast. I'm your host, Wanda Carter, and this evening, Miss Levette is going to take us on a journey of why it's important to you that we celebrate Juneteenth.
Good evening. My name is Levette Haynes. I'm a culture arts journalist for Chicago Communicated News Media. And so there's a big Juneteenth celebration this week because people actually started celebrating over the weekend. And they're celebrating the fact that the citizens of, not citizens, but slaves in Texas didn't know that they had been freed. And so 1865, they found out, which was 2 years later, that that they were free. The Civil War had been won, and that was part of their freedom, and they were not given the notice. And so that was a joyous occasion, and that's why there's so many events happening this week and over the weekend. And so the question of the day was, how are you celebrating? And if that's going to multiple events, going to a few events, or going to none, and some people celebrate in as a personal kind of way. And so it's a very it's a very simplistic thought of mine, something that happened that was just a few words being delivered, that this day had been given to them, and that was their freedom. And so if you can imagine, probably as the celebration went, there were no, guitars and whatever, but they used pots and pans. So this was probably a call to the heavens and thanks that this had happened. So as we fast forward to 2026, one of the things that I would like to hear is from 1865 to now, how does that affect us, or how do you see that change? And so that's the question of the night. Who's on here, by the way?
There's me, Wanda, and somebody, it looks like
Vivetta, am I saying it correctly? Your name? You muted?
Yeah, this is Viata.
Viata. Okay. How you?
Viata in Orlando.
Okay, how you doing?
I'm doing great. And so I want to address what you just said, because I think from in 2026 we have mental slavery. We have been celebrating this Juneteenth and realizing that the creator has done a wonderful work in black people for hundreds of years to deliver us, and yet today we're in mental slavery. So I think everything we address, especially for our children, is to teach them freedom, emancipation of the mind. There's too much disease, there's too much division. When I look at what happened with Carmelo Anthony in Texas, the parents have had a responsibility to raise that child in a way that he would not be combative and bring knives and tools or weapons to a conflict. But the parents, I think, have failed in that case alone. So my position as a YouTuber and a health and well-being promoter is to promote freedom, emancipation of the mind, and get out of the matrix and away from the traditions of the master and dependence on this corrupt government. So that's my piece on that.
Now, where are you from and what's your name again?
Orlando, Florida.
You from Orlando. How did you
Yeah.
hear about us? How did you hear about us?
I've been a part of the Female Solution for many years. And then now Naima Latif and I are still connected with her On Air Everywhere network. And so now I do my own YouTube channel, Health and Wellbeing, every Friday morning. So Wanda, I've known Wanda uh, for several years, as long as I've been connected with the Female Solution and Naima Latif.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Because you gave us you gave us a whirlwind of thought in what you said, and it's almost a sad statement when we do put blame on the parents, because I say it not to say that it's not so, but only to say that if we know that those parents agreed to him in that lifestyle, then you're so correct. But so often parents work so hard to do the best they can parenting, and and the mental state of mind that you talk about, we have uh we have um outside influences with our children that are so strong, and that has been a proven fact that some of the apparatuses that they're on causes those mental deficiencies. Sometimes, we were talking about um, uh, just going to another suburb, being living in an urban setting, and how when we go outside of this urban setting, the air smells different. And so we have our children who are breathing toxins in their little bodies. And sometimes you can rise above with, if you know how to control the elements. I know that sounds sort of far-fetched in a way, but it's even in breath, and how we even mentally deal with whatever the environment is. Our children are unsuspecting. And so they're more controlled by the environment, where we have more control over our being and what we're experiencing. Because sometimes if I'm hearing a high pitch of something, I know that that's in the airwaves that someone is controlling. So I just breathe a little slower and be more relaxed, because I know that this too shall pass. So I'm in agreement with you, and I would like to, put your information in the chat, because this is the kind of information that's necessary to speak on, especially when you're talking about being enslaved, because it hasn't gone away. And that's why I put the question out there, is like, from 1865 to 2026, where are we? And as you've envisioned, seeing that entrapment, that mental slavery, it is for sure a reality. And the question then is, how do you get to the next level? And so, what would your recommendation be? Now, what I'm going to do is um, get my little notebook here because I'm quite sure folks ask you your name more than one time. So, how do you spell it?
Viyahta.
Viyahpa.
V as in Victor.
B
Y as in yellow.
H
AHTA.
T A.
Viyahta.
Beata. Ah, okay, very beautiful. And so when is your show?
Friday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I do a Sunday night show at 8 o'clock.
Okay, okay. And how do you, how do you get your message across when it's as we're getting this message and talking about this particular uh, subject matter, because it was really intertwined with so much of our daily lives. And so, what do you think about Juneteenth?
Well, as I said, we've been celebrating the event that took place many years ago, and I don't see where we've made a whole lot of progress in emancipation from the slavery of our minds that is eating chemicals and processed food, and we have disease running rampant in the Black community, and it's not like I want to blame the parents, but it's like somebody has to take responsibility. And I think Juneteenth is a day that we should start taking responsibility for the slavery that still exists, and then teach the children how to come out of that slavery, teach them emotional intelligence, teach them conflict resolution, which is part of the reason we got a 17-year-old in jail. 35 years, was sentenced to 35 years in prison recently in Texas. It's a
Mhm.
tragedy.
So how is it, because I know about the story. I can't go in depth about the story, but I do know that there are those that are for his sentence, and there are those that are not. And so, how do you look at both sides, and the ones that are against what happened to him? They look like they're very intelligent, upstanding kind of people that that is against his sentence. And then there are those, probably more so family members of the young boys that were killed. And I don't know if it was one or two. I don't know that if he just killed one. I think it was just, yeah, one. And you know how, because you've already exemplified that um you're in agreement with
Well,
the sentence.
I started following this immediately after it happened. It's been a year now since that event
Hmm.
took place.
Hmm.
And he admitted that Carmelo admitted right away to the police officer that he had stabbed someone. He didn't. He
Hmm.
said, "Are you the alleged victim?" He was asked. Said, "No, I'm not alleged. I did it." So right
Hmm.
away, the man admitted guilt. Now today,
Hmm.
I believe the 35 years is way too much, especially when what's coming out is there was a video that wasn't shown. They hid a lot of evidence. The judge has something going on with the other family. So a lot of,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion, a lot of things are coming out that say, "Nah, I don't think he deserved 35 years," but the man admitted he
Mm-hmm.
did it, and somebody's dead. So maybe 10 years, 15 years. But he needs to spend time in prison, no doubt about it. But 35,
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna appeal, as far as I realize, appeal. But to the trauma and drama around this, now the parents are saying they're broke. They had over
Mm-hmm.
$600,000 they raised in GoFundMe, and maybe more than that. Since a year ago, I don't understand how this thing took a whole year to come to an end like it did. But anyway, the parents are now broke. They're complaining, and then they say somebody the parents are going to jail. I'm following this on YouTube just to figure out what's going to happen. So the
Mm-hmm.
parents have to take some responsibility, but instead, I think they've been blaming and shaming everybody else. And so
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I don't care what they did. It's like I'm concerned about this younger generation not repeating these same mistakes. And that's what, to me,
Okay.
Juneteenth is about,
Mm-hmm.
recognizing where we've made mistakes and correcting this so we don't have more teenagers going to prison.
Yeah, because prison is still a form of slavery. And
Absolutely.
and so, as we do try to rectify multiple kinds of ills in our community, um, that's a question because at this juncture, the Juneteenth primarily is celebration. And and if you're just um celebrating what has happened and replicating the activities that happened when Black folks realized they were free, then I think that's what we're seeing in the celebrations that's happening across the city.
But with,
And
with data, but community, black on black crime, and all that, we can't just celebrate anymore.
well,
We got to
I agree.
educate. We
I
have to
agree. I
educate
agree.
as well.
And I think that's what we're talking about right now. And I
Okay.
think that's what I'm saying is that, this is the kind of conversation that does need to happen as well. Because after the party is over, then you're right back to square one. And the way that I also look at Juneteenth, we are the least people that are actually benefiting. If we are on the bottom of the totem pole as far as um as far as job, income, uh if we are the least employed, then when Juneteenth happens, the rest of America is getting paid for that holiday. There's nothing that we can benefit other than being at these festivals and being entrepreneurs, and the Black community actually supporting those businesses. I think that's something that I do see that is beneficial, is that we are coming out particularly to make sure that we help a small business. And so that's part of something that we can embrace. Are you helping a an independent
Editor.
Black entrepreneur? That helps that person sustain themselves, where they're not depending on someone, which that's part of our freedom, because that's being free, is when you can sustain yourself as an entrepreneur. And the business aspect of it you know um helps us remain independent. So I understand your position. um I'm going to say your name correctly.
Yeah.
Via Viata.
Yeah.
Yes.
Viata. Okay,
Yeah,
Viata.
and that's the focus. We need in elementary school, we need to be teaching kids not how to prepare for college, but how to be your own boss and be an entrepreneur. So that
Yeah,
should be part of
absolutely.
Juneteenth. We want you to be your own boss. Let's think of how many ways you can create your own business.
I love
Mm-hmm. And being at those festivals, you do see that. You see, because my granddaughter, she went to an event the other night, and she came back with a couple of things that she had bought from these vendors, and she acknowledged to me that they were Black vendors and creating their own products, and so that's something that the more that we're able to be around these vendors and entrepreneurs, then that's definitely a show of support. Um,
you're
uh,
right.
and then showing our young people what the things that they could do to be entrepreneurs. Some children, they'll do a lemonade stand, or um, you know sell crafts. My grandchildren they're 11 and 9, and they go to festivals with their mom, who is a jewelry maker or sells, costume jewelry, and they sell their artwork right along with her. They come home with their money, and it's just so cute, that they're engaging with the public. And I saw my granddaughter. We did a festival a couple of weeks ago, and so someone was interested in her piece, and they said that they liked purple, but they were sort of overlooking this one piece, and she says, "Well, this is purple right here," and they was like, "Oh, it is," and then it sold, and so that's just the example that our youth need to, so parents need to bring them out, bring them out to the festivals. Unfortunately, some of the festivals are pretty pricey. If you're talking about bringing in a family of 4, and it's $15 for the children, $25 for the adults, you know, you got to make some of these festivals more affordable for people to go to, because we frequent farmers markets, and uh, we see a lot of people really advancing because there's not a lot of entry fees. But anyway, getting back to what uh, this day is and how people will be celebrating. We're going to be at the Garfield Park Gold Dome. Um, we have a parade that's the part of being at Garfield Park, um, and St. Joseph's Missionary Church. They have done, I think this is their 6th year. So they've been pretty consistent with the parade. And that's really joyous and beautiful. And so, Viata, I thank you for your input,
And
um, and
we have
give
a
give
new
me
person on.
give me your, okay. Okay, I'm just rewriting it. Viata, and your show is called what?
Uh, well, my YouTube channel is Viata's Tiny House Village.
YouTube. I mean, your YouTube is Viata's Tiny House Village. Now,
Yes.
let me tell you, Tiny House Village. Now, during COVID, my family wanted to know, is that the only thing that you can watch? Because that's all I watched was information on tiny houses. So is this like based on living quarters?
Yes, yes.
Oh,
I when
wonderful.
I when
Okay.
I divorced my husband, I moved into a 900 square foot condo, and then after that, I realized like this is too expensive. So I found a tiny house on wheels, 160 square feet, and I lived there for 5 years. And then where I am now, my son had an empty shed in his backyard when he divorced. After he divorced, he bought a new house. And this empty shed, I had to find a new place to live because the place I was living, they sold it. And so I said, I'm going to sell my tiny house on wheels and I'm going to renovate this shed because there was nothing in it. So 320 square feet is where I am now. And I teach people how to do that on my show. Not every show, but that's my promotion, is to live tiny.
Oh, I love you. I love you. Okay, so we're on another subject matter, and so I will definitely follow you, my dear.
Okay.
I'm a tiny house advocate, and so but you know what, Viata, that is part of releasing yourself from from the connotations of slavery, when people control where you live, what you eat, how you breathe. And so that slavery of the mind that you're talking about, we're so entrapped living in urban settings, and not only like where you live and how you eat, but how you're being controlled by the system that continues to price you out of housing, continue to, stick it to you with gas prices. That uh, that in itself is a burden. And uh, there's a book by Helen Chauvin, and she says, "You cast your burdens on the God within and go free." What is free? What is being free? The freedom of not being controlled, and that's what slavery is all about.
Mm,
Someone controlling your
yeah.
being.
Yeah.
And so these are just ways that we can talk about. Are you still a slave? How are you free? How are you free when you're living with drudgery and burdens? That's not freedom. And so you cast your burden on the God within and go free. And so
Amen.
We
and
got,
so go ahead, Wanda.
I'm sorry, Levette, Brian has had his hand up for quite a while and we have a
I'm
new,
sorry. You don't think to do is just tell me. I know I talk fast. I'm sorry, Brian. I'm sorry, but my screen is black, so I'm not
oh,
able to see anything. So I apologize. Go ahead, Brian.
Okay. Well, the first question is for you, Levette, and you said Helen Schulman, Schulman.
Helen Scovin Shen. Scovin, Scoven, or Scovin, I think. Helen Scovin Shen, Shinn. And the name of the book is The Game of Life and How to Play It.
The Game of Life.
And How to Play It.
Okay, great. Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay. I just pulled it up. Okay.
Mhm.
And something you said, Levette, and it's conversations like this that keep me going despite my current circumstances.
Mhm.
It keeps me pushing. I mean, because something you said, Levette, is that being free, and not just in your mind, also too being free when you are sustaining yourself as an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
Okay, and when you have quite a bit, when like specifically when you have an economic base and you are employing people.
Exactly.
Okay, that is freedom. You don't have to. You're your own boss. And
Yeah.
me personally, I like being my own boss. But I pray. I often pray that God elevate me and take me higher, help me do better than what I'm doing. Okay, and
Yes.
and
Yes.
and that essentially that is freedom economically
Mhm.
from
Mhm.
from an economic standpoint. That is freedom. You're your own boss, and there's nobody telling you what to do. You're trailblazing.
Yes. Yes. That's part of like, what's your product? We've been talking about, how do you push your content? How do you benefit from the things that you know, and having that as your product.